This is an ancient folk tale that imparts a profound lesson. Here's how it goes. Once upon a time, there was a 22-year-old named Eli who lived a challenging life. After his parents had passed away, he was left to fend for himself. Every day, he worked tirelessly just to scrape together enough money to get by. His routine was monotonous. He would go to work, come home, cook 4 pieces of bread, eat, and then sleep. This was his life, day in and day out. One day, something peculiar happened. After preparing his 4 pieces of bread, Eli washed his hands, and upon returning, he found that one of the pieces was missing. He was puzzled but chose to ignore it. The same thing occurred the next day. On the 3rd day, Eli decided to keep a close watch on his bread. To his astonishment, he saw a plump little mouse taking one of the pieces. Eli captured the mouse and asked, "Why are you stealing my food? I barely have enough for myself." The mouse looked up and said, "Please don't stop me. It's my destiny to take one of your pieces of bread." Eli sighed and replied, "I don't have much. I work all day to make just 4 pieces of bread to eat. You're taking one away, and I don't know how I'll manage with less." Feeling sympathetic towards Eli, the mouse said, "If you seek answers to your troubles, go and visit Satori. He can help you understand your life and guide you on what to do." Eli considered the mouse's advice and decided to set out on a journey. The next day, he embarked on his trip. The road was long and grueling. As night fell, he came across a grand mansion and asked for shelter. The mansion's owner, a kind woman, welcomed him and inquired about his journey. Eli explained, "I'm going to see Satori to seek answers about my life and the challenges I face." The woman smiled and said, "You're heading to a wise man. Could you also ask him a question for me? My daughter has been silent for 20 years. Please ask Satori when she will speak again." Eli agreed and continued his journey the next day. After many hours of walking, he reached a towering, snowy mountain but didn't know how to cross it. At that moment, he noticed a sage meditating near the mountain and asked for assistance. The sage said, "I will help you cross the mountain, but I have a question too. I've been meditating here for years, striving to reach heaven. Could you ask Satori when I will finally ascend to heaven?" Eli promised to inquire, and the sage waved his staff, helping Eli cross the mountain. Soon after, Eli arrived at a broad river and found himself unsure of how to get across. Just then, he saw a large tortoise resting by the riverbank. "Can you help me cross the river?" Eli asked. The tortoise agreed, and as they crossed, it asked, "Where are you going?" "I'm going to meet Satori," Eli replied. The tortoise smiled and said, "I've lived in this river for 500 years and have always wanted to become a dragon. Could you ask Satori when that will happen?" Eli agreed and continued his journey. Finally, after many days, he reached Satori's place. There were many people waiting to ask Satori questions, but he announced he would answer only 3 questions per person. Eli now faced a dilemma. He had 4 questions, one for the mansion owner, one for the sage, one for the tortoise, and one of his own. Since only 3 questions could be asked, he had to decide which one to forgo. After much thought, he chose to leave out his own question and instead asked the questions from the others. First, Eli asked about the mansion owner's daughter. When will her daughter speak again? Satori answered, "She will speak when she gets married." Next, Eli asked the sage's question, "When will he reach heaven?" Satori replied, "He will reach heaven when he lets go of his attachment to his staff." Finally, Eli asked the tortoise's question, "When will the tortoise become a dragon?" Satori said, "The tortoise will become a dragon when he sheds his shell." After receiving the answers, Eli thanked Satori and began his journey back home. On his way, he met the tortoise and delivered the answer. The tortoise removed his shell and immediately transformed into a magnificent dragon. From the discarded shell came many precious gems, which the dragon gave to Eli before soaring into the sky. Eli next encountered the sage and conveyed Satori's message. The sage handed his staff to Eli, and with that, he ascended to heaven. Finally, Eli returned to the mansion and delivered Satori's message to the woman. Overjoyed, she asked Eli to marry her daughter. Eli agreed, and they were married. As soon as they were wed, the daughter spoke her first words. With the precious gems from the dragon, the staff from the sage, and a loving wife, Eli's life was transformed. His days of struggle were over, and he found happiness and success, all because he chose to set aside his own question and help others. Moral: this story teaches the importance of letting go. Just as the tortoise shed his shell to become a dragon, and the sage released his attachment to the staff to reach heaven, true progress comes from letting go of what holds us back. In our own lives, we must learn to release negative habits and selfishness to move forward and embrace growth and success. By being unselfish and letting go of obstacles, we open doors to new opportunities and a brighter future.